Hello and welcome to Stampscapes Friday Night Live. I have a gigantic piece of pre-printed disposable paper placemats. Okay, so it's just what it is. It's a placemat and it's a paper disposable one. So you put these out for whatever your guests and they eat off of it. But they can make some pretty good surfaces to stamp on. This one happens to be a suede what design, and one that I really enjoyed in the past was the wood grain type. I don't think the wood grain's available anymore, so these things, if you like them, I wouldn't wait too long to get them if you really like, those types of things. So the wood grain was really fantastic, but I don't know. I haven't seen it available for a while. Okay, so this is a really large format here, and what I'm going to do is I'm not going to, kind of abide by perspective and scale as much as I often do in smaller pieces. In other words, things that are closer to you look larger, and in relation to that same type of object in the distance would be a smaller version of it. Okay, I'm not really going to utilize that kind of Western perspective convention in here. Okay, so I've talked about these before and I've done them, and they're really fun to do, but it's more of in the style of a amusement park map where there's, an amusement park, it shows everything where they are in relation to one another, but it's not like one scene or scenario where things on the lower portion represent things that are closer to you, okay? So you can do whatever you want in that case. I'm going to try to combine a lot of the different Halloween imagery from both last year and this year, and we're going to see, how we do with that. And I'll try to create a bunch of little vignettes around here, for lack of a better word, showing some different scenarios. So I thought about like a little haunted cave or something like that. And we'll try to keep this establish somewhat of a flow going around this now. I don't know. I haven't done this for a while, so you're going to have to give me a little bit of a leeway. Okay, so one of the things I was thinking about, which would be really cool, I think, is a cave. So I think I'm going to do an interior of a cave down here. I don't know, maybe it'll be quadrants or something like that, just 4 different things. It doesn't have to be like that, but we'll see how this goes here. The trick is just to kind of establish in your head a little bit this idea of flow, and I wouldn't get into trying to map everything out in your head ahead of time too much, because this is a really large scenario here, and I think it would just kind of stall out the creative process. And I would think about these just in terms of the little area that you're working in. I mean, you might have a general idea. I'm going to put mountains over there and cave over here or something like that, but I wouldn't micromanage it down to like really super specific imagery. Okay, I think that at least for me, that's just, it's too complicated. Unless you've done like a trial run and you've stamped everything out and say, okay, I need to adjust this, and this here. You know what I mean? So you have a better idea of it. This one's going to be a first, I don't know, whatever, first run here, just right off the bat. Okay, so this is the boulders with lichen right here. And what I'm doing is I'm changing the direction of this, and we're going to create, hopefully, this enclosed area here that will represent a cave. Okay. Hello, Zealous, Cynthia, Sherry. How's everyone doing on this Friday afternoon or night. Like afternoon, it was like, oh my God, it's almost 4 o'clock. You know, it seems so light out. I was running around all over today. I was in a frantic mood this whole week, so this is really nice to be able to sit down and kind of create. All right. Let's see here. I kind of want this flow going in here, but then I don't know. It's going to be a cave. Oh, maybe I'll put the opening of the cave over here or something like this. I know the cave opening will be right in here, so that I want to create this kind of this flow going in here. Like maybe over here it'll be like a little trail or something like that leading into whatever scenario this is down here. Maybe it'll be a water scenario over here with like a yeah, Creature of the Black Lagoon, I don't know, whatever, something like that. And that seemed like it would go kind of naturally into a cave, maybe? We'll see. Eastern time there, okay, 7 p.m. Let me see. 3 of us I know are in Pacific Standard. Okay, let's see. This will be my my transition kind of thing over here, because these rocks really work great for like a foreground, you know, for a water scenario too. Now, if I wanted to really mix this up, this rock right here goes really well with the ledge stamp, because it's the same type of thing. It's just less textured. But, you know, often in rock formations, you'll see, you know, those different types of rocks in a given area, you know, like layers. So that would be a good thing to add in there if you want. Okay, now see this right here? I'm going like this, and you can see how it's been used like that on that perimeter like that. And what I'll do right here is you go impression like that, and then you go impression in here, okay? And then you overlap. So see, every time I'm overlapping, so I'm going to overlap this down here, but then you overlap it up there too, like this. And see this, I kind of turned it on a little bit too, so it's probably like more like this, you know, this other impression, it's going like this, so that it doesn't look so, you know, kind of stacked everywhere and completely uniform, okay? And let's do this right up here. Let's go like, we'll do the same thing right over here. I inked up a little bit more up top there that time because I was overlapping so much down there. Now that looks kind of weird like that. It looks like, you know, some kind of like weird kind of, you know, I don't know, whatever, you know. It's like radiation affected potatoes or something like that, which we don't necessarily, you know, that's not what I'm going for here. But, okay, let's see here, right here. Okay. So what, let me see, I forgot what cave things I wanted to put in there. You can put in anything, but, oh, I don't know. We'll figure out some kind of monsters to put in there. I was thinking of, when I was doing this last week, or I don't know, one of these previous weeks, I was thinking, oh man, we should do like a cave thing for a certain creatures. I remember thinking, we'll figure it out. So let's see. Let me see right here. Let's stack this one a little bit more. If anyone is watching these videos or this live stream for the first time, I don't necessarily come up with something ahead of time where it's a really, you know, like a good presentation. There's too many uhs and, you know, trying to figure everything out on the fly like that. Okay, now right here, I wiped off some of this bottom portion so that it just doesn't go exactly into there solidly. Okay, I want this to look like it's a little bit farther in there. And right over, let's see, let's do this again. Like maybe right here, and we'll go right here. Okay, so I'm gonna wipe off quite a bit off the bottom and then transition it. So more off the bottom and then less in the middle and maybe none on the top. And let's do a little bit of masking too, actually. And masking. My style of masking is very minimal, like that. So we have some of that showing like that too. And let's go like this right here. So we just kind of filled in right there a little bit. By the way, I'm using a hybrid ink. I don't know about a VersaFine Clear if it'll work in there or not. It might, but StazOn would work fine. This is probably because it's a pre-printed paper and it's kind of like a satin finish on there. So like a satin glossy, which is like a semi-gloss. You know, just don't run your finger through there immediately and you should be fine as far as, you know, not getting any kind of smearing going. Yeah, oh yeah, sorry, yeah. So did that answer you, Sherry? Yeah, the semi-gloss. It's got a little bit of coating on there, you know. And not all the placemats are like that. Like the wood grain is kind of more matte. But this one's definitely more of the semi-gloss right here. A little satin finish on there. So, I don't know. Probably a little bit more protected. You know, in terms of, you know, what it's made for. You know, some spills and things like that. Of liquids. Or if someone has it on their lap, you know, eating some oily, you know, like delicious fried chicken on a paper plate. Yeah, this is probably going to protect them a little bit more. Hello, military mom. How are you? Okay, I'm stacking some rocks over here. I was thinking about some kind of like a little water area right in here. And having these rocks in there will kind of, again, create that kind of a transition zone from one area to the next. Okay, if anyone's just joined in, I'm going to create these different, kind of a bunch of scenes all in one, maybe like 4 different scenarios all in one here, or try to. And it would be like if we went to, you know, whatever, some amusement park, you know, with a, whatever they call it. It's not Scary Farm, not really, but that type of thing. And if we're looking at a map for the park, you know, and it would have these different little, like, I don't know, whatever, thumbnail scenarios of what, you know, it depends how big the park is, but that type of thing, where, again, one of the big features of that type of composition is that you are basically, you're not abiding by standard perspective conventions, you know. Larger things up front, smaller things in the back, darker things usually in the front, you know, lighter ones in the back, that type of thing. You know, similar things I'm talking about. And, you know, doing it like this, if you know what I'm talking about, it's really liberating. So in other words, I can put like a really small person right here, like a little human, and that it's not to represent some kind of like shrunken, you know, type of person right here. I'm not going to have a larger person up here. It's just like a different area of the park, you know, amusement park or something like that. which was one of the assignments that I had in my illustration class in, what was it? It might have been maybe the first semester of my illustration education. And mine was a miserable failure. I think we had to use paints on it too, and I was really not good with a certain type of paint called gouache. Which is an opaque watercolor, and that was a miserable, I don't know, like 12-month period where the majority of the things that we're working in were in gouache. So it was like hard enough to do the assignment for me. And then it was because I had to I was struggling with the medium so much. I was like focused on that as opposed to kind of the content of the assignment, that narrative. All right, so I'm putting together this little scenario area. So this is going to be a little watery area down in here. And this is going to be like a little pathway up here going to this castle. And then maybe this whole area over here maybe will be like a cemetery, okay? Oh, going back to this paper here. This is what this paper looks like. So 50 disposable printed rectangle paper placemats. Oh, it's 11.7 by 16.5. For some reason, I was thinking it was 11 by 17. Huh. But it's one of those kind of, it gives us something kind of decorative in an 11 by 17 that's not only, potentially interesting to work on for scenes, or you can use this for anything too. But it's like cheap because it's not like a art. The market isn't, for it's targeted for the masses. It's not this more specialized type of thing, for the arts and crafts. So, I don't know, like that wood grain paper, that thing was like really inexpensive as well. So I really loved that because it's like super affordable and really, for me, quite usable. I love working on that wood grain paper. Okay, let's put this castle in here. One thing when I'm doing this too, I need to think about, I've been really having fun with that glow-in-the-dark printable sticker paper, so I might leave room for like a little moon. You can do multiples across the here too. Because while it's one continuous thing, it could represent like different locations on a map, too. So you can do whatever you want that way. Yeah, the paper placemats, I find, they take the ink pretty well, I don't know, let me see, I have a feeling this one's a little bit wet, here. It's a little bit wet for me, but I've tried, oh yeah, here we go, right here. So this is, what is VC? I don't remember that. It stays on, brilliance, dye-based ink? And here's the hybrid ink that I'm working. Actually, the StazOn looks really dark. Brilliance looks pretty good. The StazOn, I don't know, that surprises me, why it's so dark like that. I would have thought the Brilliance, the thicker Brilliance, a lot of times the Brilliance is like darker than the StazOn, but in this case, I don't know, that, you know, the prints don't lie, as they say in stamping. Oh. VersaFine Clair, of course. Yeah, so the VersaFine Clair is an oil-based one, so it's stamping on here, and it's not transferring as fast. So when I lifted that up, it probably left me with a lighter print. My VersaFine Clair has been a little bit dry for a while, though. So it, you know, if you re-ink it, it would probably be pretty good. But all of these are, you know, they're completely dry, of course. So you can use any kind you want on there. I wouldn't go with the dye-based ink, though, on this semi-gloss. It just, unless you're doing it for a specific reason where you want more of a, like a 70% gray, maybe. I don't know, maybe it's 75, 80% gray. The StazOn to me looks really close. It's like a 95, 8%, you know, gray or something like that. This one's like a little bit less, 92 something. That's what I'm guessing. But the hybrid's pretty good too. All right, so here's some basics right here. Now, right over here, let's do this little forested area maybe. With some trees up here. See, these ones on a big piece of paper like this, normally you might not use them because, you know, you always want these ones like this with the tops of the tree gone. You want them kind of running off the top of the paper like this. You know, otherwise, if they're down here, then you have to do something, you know, to fill in all this area up here. You can go with the art foamies, you know, that are taller, but these are just standard size ones. So I'll put a scenario up here with that forest. Let's do, maybe I'll use an art foamy, speaking of that too. Maybe like this one right here. See, this one, this is the size in relation to this one, and there's an even larger one, but even on a big, gigantic piece of paper, I'm seeing this as this scenario like this right here. So this is going pretty big right here. Let's do that. Let's go down quite a ways on this one. Coming up with this on the fly for anyone that's just joined in. Most of those channels are so professionally done. You know, with you know, it's you know, something. A lesson. A lot of times, a lot of lessons are kind of like rehearsed. Which, if I'm teaching something specific, I really should do. I should do, but I don't. We're sharing a coal. It's more like jazz sharing a coal, you know. It's that improv. Cherry's a musician here. All right, we're going like this. And I'm going right into those rocks right there as this first impression. Okay. Holding this down for a little bit longer. I probably don't need to, but I tend to do that with these sponge ones. I don't know why, but because they're like lightweight and they just feel so much different than stamping rubber. A lot of times I feel like I need to hold them down longer for some reason. Yeah, I don't know, because they're more porous too. I don't know, but I probably don't. All right, let's see here. Let's do that. You're probably thinking, what the heck? That does not look right. I'm not looking at this as a, well, I'm looking at it as a whole kind of, but I'm thinking about this more in terms of like one little section that I happen to want to be able to transition a little bit, into the other parts of the scenario. Okay, let's go with the smaller. Let me see here. I don't think I want this big one like right coming down right in the middle of this too much. So, okay, let me go with the smaller one like this. See, if I go with the smaller one like this, it's larger and then it's smaller over this way. So I feel like it'll pull the viewer over this way a little bit more. This way feels like it's a little bit more closed off like this. Unless that's what we want to do, which, isn't necessarily a bad thing either. If you want to create more of a separation between the whatever, the realms, within the card. Yeah. We'll see what comes out. Stays on the heavy duty one, right? I didn't realize there were more than one stays ons out there. I don't know. Is there more heavy duty? I do have this one. The one that I've had for like, I don't know, it's probably like 20 years. I'm guessing it's not the heavy duty one. What is the heavy duty one though? Is it a different type of ink or something like that? I don't see why you couldn't heat emboss on this. You would probably, if you heat embossed on this one, then you would probably use the, maybe the VersaFine Clair then for your imagery. How would you do that though, too? You would stamp out a small area or a few little objects, and then you would heat emboss as you go though, right? Because you couldn't stamp out this whole thing. And still, I don't know. I think even with the oil-based pigment ink, I don't think it would be all dry. Or do you stamp it out and then... Nah, you couldn't do that though, right? You couldn't pour a little bit of powder down and then stamp it again, because you'd have all these things covered in powder right here, right? I don't know. I haven't done a lot of embossing, so that's something that, I don't know, you guys would have to, be like much more... much better, you'd have a much better answer for that than I would, I think, with my lack of embossing knowledge. Okay, this is the smaller pine tree trunk right here. Let's go with the tree trunk trio in here. There's a Art Foamies version of this one as well. Love those Art Foamies though. And so surprising to me in terms of impression quality and detail, okay? Now, they're not as detailed as, like I've mentioned, I always mention then a rubber version of it, but they're shockingly, to me, more detailed than I would have thought they could be, with that process of, whatever, like laser carving out those pieces. Okay, let's see. So I stamped it right here. Now, I'm going to go a little bit up here. So I guess I am doing a little bit of perspective too, maybe within the little, scenario. Maybe it's more with like little figures or objects outside of the scenarios. All right, so that like that. That one's a little bit higher than this one too. So it goes like this, and then it goes up like that. So it's going up this way slightly. I didn't want to put this one like way up there, I don't think, because it's the same size as this. So that's what I mean. I guess in this little area there is still perspective going on. That's kind of fun right there with that that suede texturing on there, because it already looks like a little bit of like shadow textures on the ground just inherently in the paper itself. And I'll be adding in some additional shading in here as well. All right, so what I'm faced with now is this is going to be like a watery area, so I think I want to create some kind of separation between this little scenario right here and down this way. Maybe I'll put some rocks to the side like that, or it could be like the same type of thing going up there. Okay, I don't want to go and look for it right now, but I would normally, if I thought about this before, if I knew what this was going to come out looking like at all, I would get the smaller version of this one, and I would stamp out a couple small versions to kind of flank this area right in here. But what I'll do is I'll utilize the top portion of it for a smaller amount. Smaller amount of the image. Hey Sherry, when you're playing live, do you always go up there with a kind of a set playlist, or do you kind of wing it, in terms of the songs that you're going to play? Okay, let's see here. That, and I'll do some additional ones. Yeah, maybe we'll go up, like we'll flank this stone or whatever brick walkway. Okay, like that. We can use another one right here, can't we? That looks like weird. It's too symmetrical here. Let's throw another one in right here, and we'll bisect this area a little bit. Like that. I should have went in a little bit more. Let's do it over here too. Let's mask off this right here. And then we'll mask off this right here. That. All right. So kind of creating a little bit of flow through here, I guess. And let's do... Let's do this, okay. I'm really leaning on this image, apparently, for whatever, continuity, I guess, within these areas. All right, let's do this. Hopefully I have that masked off right there. I don't want to go into my path. Yeah, there we go, like that, coming out like that way. And then let's do one right over here somewhere. I think I'm being a little bit too conservative. I thought I was going to be stamping more of that. Okay, let's see here. All right, let's do one more right here. Oh, that's a really small area. Yeah, okay. But you see these forms like that around there? It kind of brings all those areas together a little bit more. Even if it's just a small little bit of that shape. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's see if we can't kind of bring this together a little bit more, as I always say, with our smallest little component, which is the tiny rock small. I practice where I'm going to play because I have a horrible oh. We're gonna all go to one of your performances, Sherry, with a list of your songs, and we're just gonna yell out, you know. It's like what, you know, the requests there, and you'll have to you know, just adjust the playlist. And the encores too. Hello, Megan. How are you? Oh, they know about Stampscapes. We're gonna have we'll have an open mic slash what do they call them? A stamp slam, rubber stamp slam. That's what this one stamper used to call them. She used to have just like, you know, some friends over. None of her friends were stampers either, and she just put a bunch of stamps out, like on a table, you know, with paper and inks, you know, ink pads, and they would be stamping, which I guess used to be that type of thing, you know. There's some. I have this album on the Flickr, my Flickr account, and I don't know if if I found those images on Flickr or other places, and I posted it in the Flickr. I can't remember, but there's like pictures of like the 70s, people getting together and rubber stamping. There were probably a bunch of like mail artisans or something like that, you know, that did mail art. People don't know what mail art. It's like stamping up an envelope on the outside, and that's your art, you know, for that piece. But mail art was really big, and a lot of the early, whatever, rubber stamping art hobbyists, you know, in the real early days of stamping were often, you know, they often did that. So they like to be able to stamp things on envelopes, you know, really fast. Some of them were calligraphers too, you know, doing beautiful hand lettering too. All right, so at the base of these rocks right here, I'm just adding these little tiny rocks like that into these areas right there, and we'll do that in the background as well, and that'll give us a really good head start for the this is a really big piece right here, so I'll be doing some shading in here, but this is going to give me a big head start with shading. Okay, so you're right in there, kind of brought that whole area together, so whatever creatures we put in there should be able to stand out a little bit more because you have this little bit of a darker surrounding in there like that now. Uh, you just got to make do, Sherry. On what the one guitar. Bring one of those. Bring one of those cigar box ones. I love those. I love those. I love those contraptions. Oil can guitars. Shovel. Get a shovel guitar, Sherry. Sherry's got a bunch of guitars hanging up. You can see on her posts in the background. I asked her. I said, "Hey, that's not a like a cigar box one behind you, is it?" And it was, or was it? I don't know. Or the oil, or was it an oil can? I can't remember. All right. Things right at the base of the rocks. So even if the rocks are much a smaller portion of it, you can still add that texturing around there. And it really just, see, this looks weird right here. You know, we don't know what that is, you know, but it looks more like, you know, something, you know, rocks or something like that sticking out of the ground when you ground it in its texture, but it's really acting more as like shadow. So these trees like this too. Now I don't know what. Maybe this is like a nice place for like a moon or something like that. So maybe I'll put some shadow work down here. Maybe I'll start to kind of direct the shadow direction a little bit. Maybe I don't get like super committed to it, so maybe I'll go like that. So you know what I mean? I could still kind of come down this way if I, you know, if I have a moon over this way, or maybe the moon is coming from in here, so I can still kind of direct the shadow, so it's just like you know, kind of more of a like a foundation type of thing like that, where it's not really a huge commitment to this long elongated shadow or something like that. So at this point in time, you can just kind of do a rough, you know, kind of basic, I don't know what you would call it. It's kind of like a stabilizing type of element in there. It's, you know, it's, instead of these trees just kind of floating out here, you've given them kind of a mass. Now they are sitting into that scene, and it gives the objects a little bit more, or a lot more, like a opacity and stability and visual weight. That's what I'm looking for. A word. All right. Like that. So it's kind of our, you know, foundation right there. I mean, we'll be adding a lot more in here, but I kind of established the setting right now. Now I can add in all my little funner elements, you know, monsters and tombstones and all that type of thing. You know, that you know, we all delight in the season. I was talking to someone that just ordered some of the new Halloween stamps, you know, via email or text or something like that. But they said they had their Christmas cards. I think their Christmas cards were all done, and I think there was 50 of them that she sends out. But she also had her Halloween cards already done, and I think she sent out 30 of those. So wow, that's a lot. All right, let's see. Might use a couple of these things in here still. Let's get into some. I'm taking a look at the imagery here. Here's some pumpkins. I don't know if I left room for pumpkins. I definitely want a cemetery in here though, with some tombstones. I can have it on here, and I could flank the pathway. Yeah, maybe let's do that. Okay, let's see. roots. How will this piece be matted? I didn't, you know, Sherry, I thought this was 11 by 17. So it's 11.7. So I'd trim it down to 11 from the 11.7. So trim off a little bit off the side or something like that. And then I wouldn't mat it, okay? I would just, for me, I think Linda B, one of the things she did was on our larger pieces. Now, she might just have them permanently in there, but I said, you know, what might be cool is you do these seasonal things, you know, or whatever, and you just throw them into one, you know, those inexpensive frames. You can pick up like a 3-pack of Amazon or something like that. So, you know what I mean? It just gets framed up, and you know, you have them up for a couple weeks out of the year or something like that. Or, you know, it just gets, you know, whatever goes into the collection, and, you know, you do something for Christmas in this size or whatever. So, you know what I mean? More for kind of display. And it would just, you know, it wouldn't have any matting on it. It would just be the one piece in the frame. So that's what I would do. I like working in, I think, I don't know if I did this last year. I think it was, but like I really like triptychs. So maybe 3 pieces maybe of the same size and all kind of, you know, displayed together. I guess it doesn't have to be like an official like triptych, but just, you know, some sort of thematic grouping I think would be really cool in this type of paper if you didn't want to mat. Okay, but that being said, a lot of times in my 11 by 17s, 17 pieces, I go 10 by 16 so that I can throw like a white mat around the border, because that's the only, or I could throw, you know, I could mat with this too. I don't have too many 11 by 17 types of papers around, so I'm really limited with that. In fact, I think I only have white and maybe this in that 11 by 17. That wood grain paper came in 11 by 17 as well. But at one point in time, just because I thought I'd be able to get it forever, I don't know, I cut a lot of it. I cut that whole thing down to an 8.5 by 11. You know, my remaining sheets. You know, should have kept a couple at 11 by 17 though. All right, look at that. It's really starting to give the piece some visual weight, huh? With that those textures in there, and now these right there. I guess it's just, there's not really perspective in here. It's like, what the heck is this? You know, I mean, this is like farther off. I don't know. I don't know if I would put that piece down here and this piece up in the corner. I think a cave up in the corner would look okay, but this piece in relation, I don't know, I don't think I'd put it down here. I do think that having this kind of the smaller kind of real distant objects maybe on the top sides of the composition might be better. Okay, here's some smaller tombstones like here. I'll go up right around in here with them. Let's see. Would that be a little bit too much clutter right there? Let's go with a couple of them. We'll go over here with it. Oh, the roots, good at the base of a big trunk. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what you meant by the roots. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. Smaller tombstones? And the smallest ones. Kind of a little transition out that way, like that. All right. Now, when I was doing this little forested area, I was thinking about tombstones in there, but we'll put something else in there. Otherwise, we're doing the same thing over there, which is it's supposed to be like a little bit of a different area, but maybe I can do a couple of these. I haven't used these larger pieces yet. Yeah, I don't know if I left room for it. Let's see. Yeah. That sure could use like a big full moon peeking through these trees right here, like into this area like that. But then that really good with like a small full moon right here too. All right. So there's just some options for this composition. And like I said, it's not supposed to be like one big scenario right here. I don't know. It's starting to look like it more and more. Maybe even when I try not to keep things in perspective, I just can't help it. All right. I mean, here, this is this piece right there, and the tombstone's over here, so it's obviously, playing around with distance a little bit more. Oh, here. So I have these angels like here on this set right here. Here's a larger one, and here's a little bit of smaller one. But yeah, I want to do this like corridor with these angels flanking kind of a pathway. And I don't think, as big as this piece is, it's like, I wish I had a little bit more space still. We need to get ourselves a piece of, was it like 30 by 40, I don't know, like a hot press, like Bristol board or something, or illustration board. Can you imagine that? Hey, that would be fun for to have like a, some kind of stamp retreat sometime, and it's like everyone's like, you have like, I don't know, whatever, 30 by 40 inch, like 4 people working on it, like you're working on a puzzle, and you're just stamping out a bunch of stuff. Then where you kind of start getting close together, then you have to kind of merge it together. That's where the tiny rock small would come in. Or it'd be kind of fun, actually, or maybe it'd be impossible to do, but where someone doesn't know, or you do it at a stamp retreat, like a scene stamp retreat where it's not really like classes, it's just people getting together and stamping. Like you kind of divide up 4 areas, so someone's doing one corner area, and the only thing that you establish is what's top and bottom. You don't want people doing like different uh, what configuration, top bottom or something like that. But and then you cover up their area or something like that, and then the next person works in this area, and the next person, and then you reveal, and then the trick is you have to kind of go in there and do some of that merging of those different areas. That'd be kind of cool. All right, let's see here. I'm thinking about right in here. What do I want in here? Maybe that would be maybe I can sneak a couple like pumpkins in here. I think that's gonna work. Here. I didn't think I left room for pumpkins here at all, but like that. It's kind of the same shape as some of these rocks, even if it's just a couple of them in here. Oops. Here. This paper is so big I can't even, it's hard to keep it all in the frame of the video here. Sorry. Smaller pumpkins right here. So there's like a larger, medium, and small here with the pumpkins. This is from a release from last year. So I'm going right here with the larger ones and go a little bit higher with these smaller ones. I should have held that down a little bit longer. But we'll go like this. Go like this. I wish they had this one event around me called Rise of the Jack-o'-lanterns that I've been to before. I think they have it. It might still be going on. I didn't think it would come back though, because there was like, I don't know. It seemed like there must have been 4,000 pumpkins, carved pumpkins. I don't know. It might have been more because some of those, just some of the trees seemed like they had 200 up there. But you know, it was just like a little thing where they get like a gazillion carved pumpkins, and for a course of like 1 week, every night, you know, you can get tickets to walk through there and check out, you know, all these carved pumpkins. But they were real carved pumpkins, you know. And maybe the ones in the tree weren't. I don't know. I thought they were though. But there weren't that many people there because I don't know. It wasn't that well advertised either. But it was so cool seeing a gazillion pumpkins, and they're all like thematic ones too. So they did things like by theme, like movie things and stuff like that. And there was like a table where you can see someone carving, you know, doing some carvings, stuff like that. So pretty cool. It would be something that I wouldn't mind volunteering for if it was something like that was going on, and you know, I could be one of the carvers. All right, so this is what this is looking like right now. We have those top two pretty, you know, decently established. Down here, it's going to be more creature based, I think. Let's add in, I think, some skulls down here. And it's one of the things I'm always talking about with Halloween. It's like that piece that I did, was it last week in the live stream? Was it that reflection card? I added like a lot more elements to it before I posted it on Facebook, and oh yeah, I think I forgot to add it to the Flickr page, but it looked better with more components in there. It just was more fun and festive. Where my inclination when I'm doing that type of thing is it's like more solemn and kind of, you know, a little bit spookier maybe. You know, with more of like a solitary type of figure, but it was like, nah, I had to add in like some ghosts, like another full moon, this lady kind of, standing in the water. And it just, I don't know, it just improved it so much. It's more like a Halloween party, I guess, But my initial thought was maybe more something like that poster for like The Exorcist. Not in terms of like visual content, but more the feel, Like I stand, what was the priest standing underneath that, that light lamppost in the fog. But instead, it looked better. I don't know, party time. Party time looked better. Halloween party. All right, so here's a couple skulls in here. Sorry about the glare. Like that. Maybe a couple more, like the real small ones back here. Like that. I think the Spirit Halloween stores are starting to open up. Or maybe they have been. I may have, been open. Actually, I think I saw a sign for one like weeks ago. Okay. What did I say? Things that, like, things in odd numbers are more, they look better in terms of compositions. The four skulls looks strange to me, doesn't it? Let's go with the fifth one in there. Let's go. Now let's go back somewhere right in here. And hopefully that will establish kind of a little bit more of like a sound skull equilibrium, as they call it. All right, like that. Yeah, it looks better with the third, fifth skull. I might put in those glow-in-the-dark skulls right over the top of them too, just depending on how this is looking. After you get done with the shading and everything like that, it's like, if it looks still like, if it just looks like one kind of texture and it needs a little pop, that's where I really love that vinyl glow-in-the-dark sticker paper, because those elements really stand out nicely over the top like that. All right, let's see. The cave area, I think the hanging bats in there. Where are they? Sometimes I forget about the stuff that I have in terms of designs. And then someone will use it. It's like, oh yeah, I need to use those. All right. Done in odd numbers again. 3. And let's do this right in here. I'll get I need my water pattern stamp, but yeah, I'll grab that. But I'm going to put in a couple shark fins in this area right in here. I was thinking I need to do a reflection card, like a Halloween reflection card, and use these shark fins in that lower section. Jaws, what is it? Jaws 50th anniversary re-release in a theater near you, I noticed. All right, so a couple of these right in here, like that. And let's go with some frogs, like that. Starting to look a little bit more, dense with imagery. Oh yeah, I completely forgot about those trees too. Let's see. We definitely have a lot to work with these days. Oh, here it is right here. I already have it on my block. Hey, I didn't leave room for my tree here. Okay, let's go with the smaller one. Okay. It's party time in the scene, Cynthia. It's like, what area? We'll do an inquiry. What area in this scene right here, if you were to be there, would you want to go to? And then we'll analyze you based on your response. Okay, let's see. This is a really big tree if I put that right there. If I put it down, is that too far down? Let's go over here. It's more like the gigantic tree from what was that Tree of Life from that animated movie, James Cameron? Eve? I can't remember. What's the name of that? I can't think of it. Yeah, it's really big. It's really big in relation to these little tombstones like that. But yeah, like I said, hey, let's just, we're going to use whatever. So we'll break scale here. But I like the look at that shape there, you know. This is a big open area right here. And I think it just looks good having that extra shape in there. So let's go with this one right here. Let's blot it off a little bit at the base. Right here. Just because there's nothing right there. I'm not planting it in anything. So we'll leave room in case we want to, have like some depiction of fog or something like that. Yeah, a little bit better, huh? Nah. All right, this is what this is looking like if you have a little bit of glare on it. So you can see all those little scenarios like that, you know? It's almost like a little, I see a little, I have to say some of these open areas, maybe that's better because it looks like little, like pathways to these, you know, whatever specific features in here. I love this little opening in here. I was thinking about putting like a little moon in here with the witch flying in front of it. But I don't know. I think I'm going to have to use those, the vinyl sticker papers. It's just like, you know, these little ghosts and stuff like that in here. I think that's just going to be too fun to leave out of here. So I think I'm going to, yeah, that moon right in here. See, if I put that full moon right in here, it's like a cave, or it's like you're inside the cave looking out. But if I put that full moon right here with that witch, it'll look like an eyeball to me, you know. And the more like eyeballs in a like a Halloween scenario, the better. All right, let's see if we can do that. Yeah, see like that. Yeah. Okay, now if the witch is going to be in front of this one right here, this moon has to be stamped out kind of light. So sometimes it stamps out light accidentally, you know, which is what I don't want. But we'll try to do it here purposefully, and we'll see if it works out here. Now it's going to stamp out too dark on my paper, probably. Oh, there we go, like that. Okay. It looks kind of weird like that. Hopefully that's not... Oh, wait a minute. Darn it. Okay, that was just my test print. I stamped it out with the wrong ink. I stamped it in, you know, the hybrid ink, which has oil in it. That might dry and it might not. Okay, so I need to do it with the Brilliance ink here, because the Brilliance ink is water-based, and that's what the printable vinyls are designed for. Yeah, okay, there we go. Now that one's probably dry to the touch right now. I don't know about this one. Okay, so just don't, yeah, try not to forget that part of it. Printable vinyls, water-based inks. Okay. And let's see, we have this little witch right here. Yeah, she might be flying partially in front of and partially behind. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, let me see. So we're going to do this. We'll stamp her because we have the Brilliance out. We'll stamp her over the... Let's see, which way's up and down here? Go like this. So she's going to be partly out of that circle, but I definitely don't want to have to cut out that portion. I'd have to do it with like a, you know, like an X-Acto blade. I don't know, which isn't that big of a deal, but I find it easier just to stamp. Look at my memories pads, like completely delaminated. In fact, that one was like a 20-year-old one that I just opened up the other, I don't know, like a year ago or something like that. Okay, let's see here. Let's get configured here. Okay, that's going to be right. I think something like that. So she will be about right here. Okay, so about right there. Okay. Switching back to my hybrid ink, and we'll go about right here. Like I say, that stamped out pretty dark on that vinyl, printable vinyl. So I'll hold this down for a little bit longer. like that. And now see, I'm just going to cut out this circle right here and just paste it right over that. Let's do that right now since we're on that. Actually, maybe not. That's like really wet right now. Okay, here, let me put that on there later. But anyways, the eye of the cave is going to be like right there. And let's see. Yeah. This is just... We need a couple more moons, I think. Do you want to go with a big moon right in here? Yeah, let's see. That will look really good there too. Okay, let's go with one more small one, and then one gigantic one. The gigantic one will provide kind of a nice focal point for this scene, and I think I'll have it coming up from like right in here. Okay. All right. So full strength with the small moon again on the printable vinyl. Hello, MJC. How are you? Hello, Bonnie. Spark plugs. Hope all that went well. I'm glad, MJC. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead. Let me go ahead and position. Maybe that is that a giraffe right there? Okay, sorry, folks. Cutout time. I ran out of all my pre-stamped moons, which I had quite a few of, but I like using them so much. Glow-in-the-dark stickers. It's something that I well, I know I would have bought because I had those puffy ones. Those puffy, they had planets, Earth, I think, but one of them was a pack of glow-in-the-dark moons that I bought. I'm talking like 20 years ago. And I think I used them all. All right, here we go right here. I'll put a little bit of white pigment ink on this too before, but let's see. Let's go like right here. The thing about this glow-in-the-dark sticker paper is that adding it into... I'm trying to think of which way do I want those textures to be faced. I think I'm going to go like that so that it's like darker on the outside edge, because I'm going to make this whole area darker, and they'll kind of mimic that. You can go over here a little bit too, but I think it'll be kind of a little bit more dramatic, kind of offset. And here they go a little bit lower here. Because I want to have some overhanging tree limbs right in there. So that's a little bit lower than I'd prefer, but again, I want to have these overhanging tree limbs in here. So they're going to go like that. And then... oh, I was saying, where did this one go? I'll go with this right here. And again, I stamped that other witch right there, so I can, you know, avoid having to cut out anything real tedious. Cutting this little circle right here is it's a little bit of tedium, but I find that when I did like my, I don't know, third one, it was like really easy. Because I'm not used to doing all these like little cutouts, but I'm cutting out a lot more these days with the, with the whatever, the existence of this glow in the dark paper. I, I should really experiment around with the glow in the dark holographic vinyls that I have too. Okay, so you're just gonna, see right there, having that stamp there. So you're just gonna place it, right over the top of that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there you have that. So see that little area down there. I mean, it matches up okay. It looks a little different over the front of the ink on the vinyl here, but I didn't have to cut out all that little bit, with an X-Acto blade. So that makes it much more appealing of a process for me. So this is like we'll put this another full moon right here, a larger one. Then we'll have this kind of like, I don't know what do we call it, like a little triadic kind of relationship going on in here. And I think that will be pretty good. So you'll have like triadic lunar representation in this scene. And when you have that in the scene, what I've heard is that, you can charge up from, like lunar rays or whatever, without even having to go outside. It's really one of the nice benefits of glow in the dark vinyl sticker paper. That's what it said in the advertising for it. Okay. When I'm stamping out these moons on this paper too, I don't mind, like, see, there's a little bit of a texture on there where it didn't stamp out like really strong. I don't really mind that because it gives it a little bit of a variation in darkness on here, because I usually throw down a little bit of white pigment ink over the top of this anyways to make some of it a little bit more varied, so that it has some of it in there inherently, it's okay with me. So, moons, not really with too many other things, but with the moons, I don't mind it at all. And let's put this one on. This one, I think, again, it's going to go somewhere in here, so I think I'll just put a slice of with an X-Acto blade across some of those images, and this will just get tucked right behind there, so you don't have to cut anything on this moon other than the circle. Sometimes when I cut these circles, when I put it on the page, I'm thinking, it looks a little oval to me. All right, let's see here. Now I'm looking, I don't know, I was going to put this like behind some of these castles right here, but that's putting it like really close to the edge. But I don't know, do we want that like that? I feel like I need something in front of there again. Maybe like a lone figure or something like that. Again, it's a little bit of it's out of scale with those tombstones, but like I said, you know, maybe we don't worry about that, you know, with a monster map like this. But this little woman figure right here might be kind of interesting, or one of the other figures, those women with their hands going up like that. That fits right there though, like perfectly in between that tree and that. Yeah, let's go. Okay, I don't want to overthink this too much. Let's see. Let's do with this figure right here, this lone figure. This figure, if you've ever watched, what is it, Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman, there's that scene where his wife, when she finds out that he died, or I don't know, rumor is that he died, and she jumps out of the castle. That's what this little figure reminded me of, because it looked like a little figurine the way they did it. It was really cool. Okay, let's see, like that, like that, there. Switching to Brilliance ink. Let's see, how far up do we go? Okay, so she's mostly on there. Okay. All right, so something like that. It looks like an eyeball again now. Like a cat's eye or something. Okay, and I'm not going to wait for that to dry. Like that. And where is it? I can't figure out where. Okay, I think it's right there. Ah! Watch out. This vinyl is really, really sticky. It's really super aggressive. I saw I was getting a little bit close to those branches over there. So I'm going to turn this a little bit this way. There we go. Is Sherry still on? I had stage fright just there. I was like, don't screw up. All right. I feel like I'm sweating here. I don't know if it's because of getting that right in between there, or is it the fact that it's like 90 degrees in the house, in my room right here. It's probably like 95 with all my lights on. Okay, so anyway, that's what we're looking at right there. It's giving a little bit of structure and opportunity for some highlights and, you know, stuff like that, but white elements in here. Oh, someone mentioned Jaws. You might have mentioned that a long time ago. Yeah. Let's see. All right, let's see. Yeah, out of scale, you know what I mean? It's kind of, like I said in the beginning, it was kind of not having to work in scale. It's really kind of liberating in many ways. At least for the, these scenarios like that. But look see those right here? I mean, it's kind of coming together. Somewhat. It's all those little pebbles and stuff like that, and that one rock, the boulders, and lichen right there. I think it pulled things together pretty decently, and then having those little moons like that. I think if I did one moon, I guess it'd be okay, but having the three, I think might be. I mean, it definitely has more impact because it's the lightest thing in the scene, but just in terms of balance, I think it's a little bit better. Okay, while I'm thinking about adding some other elements here, I'm just going to do the thing that I know I'll be doing in here, and that's I'm going to close off this top portion of the scene. Not completely, but, a decent amount visually. So you want to have some space and be up there, I think. I don't think you want to just stamp like a gazillion things of whatever canopy up there. And this is the leaves stamp, the 399E. But you can put anything up there. There's pine boughs and stuff like that. That would be good too. And this is too. A lot of times I put a vignette, around a lot of things. I don't know if I want to do like this vignette of darkness. At least not over this whole thing here. It's just too big. I don't know. I don't think I want to do that like amount of blending. So this will help to just inherently frame things off in shape like that. Okay, so see that right there? So that kind of capped off the top quite a bit. Let's put a tiny one right here. Let's go over here a little bit more too. And I'll do one right here. That's not a huge open space in there, but it's enough. It's all kind of relative because there's so much stuff going in here. So like spaces that had, like an inch and a half or a couple inches right there. In another scene, it might not stand out, but in something like this, that's all kind of vibrating with imagery and, focal points. Kind of a 1 by 1.5 inch space that's just blank kind of stands out a little bit too much for me. All right, so see that right there? The top of the composition's kind of closed off a little bit more. And let's do the bottom here. I'm looking for those grasses, those reeds. All right, where's my art foamy reeds? Oh, here we go. So you can cap things off the top like that, but you can also cap things up from the bottom like this. These reeds in the foreground. And see this right here? This little area right in here. The way that those rocks are going in, it's not that graceful. So the way that you just kind of hide that is you put something in front of it like this, So you can still see it through it, but you put something in front of it where it's not, the thing right, It's not the closest thing to us anymore, so you're pushing it back in whatever visual distance right here. I'm looking for my other wood-mounted one too, just for a little bit of scale. Here, let's just use this for right now, though. It's weird kind of moving around this like big old floppy, food placemat here. The ink's drying pretty good. I don't think I've smeared anything yet. Like even those tombstones, that's a lot of solid ink right in there. That took a few minutes to dry. It wasn't too bad, this paper, even though it's a semi-gloss, with printer ink on there, with all that those warm tones like that, it dries pretty decently. In terms of time, drying time. Oh, so some other types of interesting placemats that I saw, but I don't know if they'll work too much because I don't want a lot of like heavy contrast. Like if the wood grain, like in this wood grain paper, was a little bit darker in here, then when you stamp out these things over it, it would show right through things, those darker lines. So I'd like a little bit more of a lower amount of contrast. But one of the cool placemats that I saw, and I still might get it at some point in time, but it's like the cross section of a tree trunk. So it's like a round placemat, and it has like that bark. It's like a cross section of a tree. So it has the bark on there, and then the interior with those, the rings, whatever, tree rings. But I thought those would be pretty cool too. They're like the size of a paper, a little bit like a larger size for a paper plate. So I guess it's probably larger because the paper plate has to fit within that space. All right, so there's a little bit more of a foreground down below here. And all right, if I don't find my... Oh, here we go. I was looking for this right here. But maybe I'll use the smaller reeds. So you go with the large ones right here. So again, I'm working, with a little bit of perspective in here within this space. But again, overall, you can just kind of do whatever you want on these map style formats here. All right, so there's some grasses right in here. And I still have this open space there that's wide open for like interpretation. What do we want to put in there? We can completely, blow off scale, and here's this like skeleton couple, like she's got this little, whatever you call it, parasol or something like that, or a romantic, romantic row on the pond. Or there's the, like I said, the creature of the Black Lagoon in here again too. That would be pretty good. We could put someone walking on water, like this girl in this like a white dress right here. I don't know, that might be confusing though. Because I don't know if people would see it as like walking on water like this. You know, they might just think this is like a pathway, but then these, you know, like sharks are, you know, swimming around in like the sand, you know, sand sharks or land sharks. Yeah, maybe not that. Let's go. Let's reference something that's going to be like specifically water, and let's go for that. Let's go for the creature, the Black Lagoon. Let's throw him right there. Oh, someone used was it Tracy? Someone used those wolves with the latest imagery. Having some wolves running through here in those trees might be kind of cool. Let's get a really good impression of them, a decent dark impression. Yeah, yeah. I've been out trying to. We had a water leak at my house this week. It's the, it's like the main. So it's like we didn't have water for a couple of days. Actually, they don't have it repaired yet, but they capped off this one, our fire main, just so we can have water at the house. But I was saying, man, I gotta get out and water those plants. I got these little saplings coming up, and they're just gonna get wiped out, you know. But yeah, definitely warmer. It's been real humid where I am too. So yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it right now, but hey, you know, anything for the stream. Anything for the stream, and anything for the scene. Water pattern small right here. Okay, and let's put some ripples into this area right in here. There is an up and down to this. In theory, there's like heavier little ripples down here and lighter ones up top, so it's like near and far, large and small. But if you don't do that, it's not, you know, if you use it more like a texture like I do, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so what I mean by that, when I'm stamping this, I'm often not stamping it like that, okay? Like as a whole. I'm using it more like, well, I don't know, that was a little bit of a hole, but see, I'm kind of going like this. I'm using like the majority of it as the top half. I mean, I might use the bottom like too like that, but I'll show you what this looks like in application here. Okay, so I want to come in here, but I don't want this full texture like that. Okay, now if you're worried about that and say, hey, you know, it's kind of weird to get the touch, you can just come in here and just like wipe off some of this, okay? So you're putting streaks through it, so it becomes more streaky as an application. Okay, so let me say maybe I took off too much here. So I feel like I'm touching this top portion up here a little bit more. Okay, now I might want, this is a big open space here, so I might want a little bit more. Let's do this right here. Okay, like that. See, that creature has those ripples coming in here, so this is like reiterating those ripples a little bit too. But see right here, I just did this little thing like that. Here, sorry. Let me zoom in a little bit. So, okay, now again, I don't want to fill in everything. So here's a smaller space. This is a little bit longer, so I'm kind of wiping off the sides like that. I'm coming in like that, okay? I don't know if you can see it. So it's like building up like those textures around land masses with the pebbles, and I'm just adding a little bit of texture around my objects in the water with some of the, more of a horizontal texture. Okay. And see, here's these frogs down here. You can go across there like that. Let's go a little bit of a stronger texture down here, the closer to us. Like that. I mean, it's kind of subtle, but I'm going to reiterate, these textures like this. When I do my shading, I'm going to kind of come across it like that. But here, you already have these kind of inherent textures in here. And then again, it kind of establishes shading for you already as well. And just so you just have to do, when you add these textures in with these rocks and stuff like that, it really removes a lot of the work later on with a lot of the shadows and highlighting. Anyway, let's see. I think that's pretty well established in here. I think I'm going to add in some other things here, but okay, let me just do this right now. Here, I was talking about those wolves. Let me see if I can find some of them really fast. Oh, hey, Linda. Hey, Linda, I didn't think you'd have a strong enough of a signal to comment. I thought you mentioned. But good to see you. By the way, so this is kind of the area where Linda is camping right now. I'm trying to depict her location. She's camping in this one, like a state park cemetery, right? Okay, here's some wolves right there. Let me see. Okay, here's the thing. I've got my wolves. This is the way I have my unmounted stamps. They're not organized either like this, okay? So I kind of just do things by size, just because I'm throwing everything back in there really fast when I'm putting things away. So I thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find my wolves real fast. There's another one right there. Let me just start off with those. I have that larger version, but let's add these in, or a few of them in. Woo! Excuse me. Where are my cling blocks all of a sudden? Here, let me just use this one. It's like way too big. What happened to all my cling foam blocks here? Yeah. No idea. This is overkill right here in terms of size, but all right. Let's see here. I don't even know. This one might be too big here. All right. I'm going to separate these. These two wolves in here are just too big, so I'll stamp them separately. We'll go with this one right here, and we'll fit them right under some pumpkins, maybe. Okay, and let's go with another one over here. Okay, let's do that. Thank you. Thank you for the bless you. Okay, and here. And then we'll go, okay, we really need to clean this off good if we don't want that one to stamp out. To get a ghost impression of that one. So really clean it off well, like so. And I think right here, like that. Man, there's a lot of things going on in here. Here, let me go with one more. I have this little space right there that I'm looking at. And the wolf, I think, will be good. These wolves might have been better if they were kind of running in the other direction. Like into the scene. Instead of off that way, but, you know. Sometimes you can't have it all. All right, there we go. I like that. There's the pack leader right there. It's given a little bit of a kind of direction, though. It's kind of going like this way. These bats right here hanging down this way. It's going to kind of get a little bit of this direction going, like visual direction in here, and this pulls people up to that way. And I'll hopefully, direct people's eye a little bit more through the use of shading as well. Okay. All right, so there's a lot of things going on in here. And I'm going to develop this more. I don't know if I'm not going to do it right now, but I'll show you what I'm going to start doing in a next step. And that's adding light and shadow into this piece. And I'll do it with my black watercolor pencil here. So now that we have, our light references everywhere, we can kind of, really add some directional shading in here a little bit more. I'm not going to be doing like a ton of that because, there's just not room to, have like a shadow from this one, to be, stretching down all this way, otherwise the whole thing is going to be like, completely dark because there's so many things going on in here. But things aren't looking too bad as is, but I think a little bit of shading just is going to really help out. So on this rock, I think these rocks right here, you just kind of start adding in some shadow at the base of it. But see, like this rock right here, for example, that's why I won't, torture everyone and start doing it all right now. But see this right here? I've darkened in this rock right here, but the upper right-hand side of it is a little bit lighter than, say, the left-hand side of it. And that's because I'm going to have this rock being influenced a little bit more by this moon right over here. I mean, you can do, here's this moon over here too, so maybe, like right here, I'll just do some shading like this. A little bit darker down here, and then it gets lighter up top here. So this top section right here is now being illuminated on that rock. Okay, so if you just kind of follow that, that shading, lighting convention idea over the, across a lot of the objects. If you're not sure, it's like if you're on this rock right here, it's like, hey, is it being lit by that one or that one? For me, it could be either one, but see, this is also kind of the base of the rock right here, and this is the water down here. Or if you can't even tell, then you can just establish it as that, where maybe it wasn't really that, but you're just saying that it is by adding this line down here, and you're saying that that's where that rock transitions into that water, okay? And you're just kind of doing it as an excuse to, you know, create that little bit of shading right there on it, okay? But you can see right here, you know, like the difference between this rock and this one right here that hasn't had any of that shading on there yet. Let's do it down here, here, like that. Okay. And here's that rock sticking up right in here. I'll do that line across there like that, across the bottom, and leave a little bit more. Well, I don't know, this tombstone's right here, so maybe it's casting a shadow on the rock, so you can kind of make that rock a little bit darker like that. But for the most part, it's kind of darker on the bottom and lighter on top. So, you know, you don't have to say, oh, okay, there's that moon over here. If you just want to make it easier for yourself, or really easy, you just add a little bit of tone on the bottom of something, and you go lighter up top. So it's like a little bit more repetition or pressure, and then up here you just go a little bit less, a little bit more pressure, lighter, lighter, you know, and nothing like that. Where rock meets water, like that. Darker on the bottom, lighter up top, like that, or lighter in the middle, light, you know, completely light up top, like that. And so these rocks like that, you know, they have more visual weight to them. The shark right here, I'm going to fill in a little bit because it's being backlit, but there's a little bit of texturing on there where it's illuminated. But again, here at the base, having a little bit of shadow right at the base of it like that. All right, this is it. And then you can do that with these other sharks right here. Now this is a really big scene, and it might seem like, oh my God, that, you know, I'm going to be doing this forever. But to me, this is the thing that's really fun, because it starts giving, I don't know, it adds that sense of lighting into the piece. That's it adds the kind of the drama into a scene. So it's like you're, I don't know, if you have a bunch of spotlights on a stage or something like that, and you have your props and figures and stuff like that, and you're kind of moving your spotlights around. It's really fun kind of a tweak. So these tombstones like this, darker at the base and lighter as it moves away from it. It's kind of, the shadows are kind of, you know, in the direction of the center of the moon. I go with the center of the moon. The more distant objects, you don't really have to do too much. Here, I'll kind of put a little bit of a shading like that. Let's see, let's get that tree right there, casting a bit of a shadow. Like that. And it kind of establishes that horizon line too. Okay. Anyways, but I'll do some more finishing work like that on a future video. But I know we got a lot established here. That is the craziest look. When I do the monster maps like this, these are like the craziest looking things, you know, ever. Because, you know, I'm not usually working that big, and you know, I'm not usually working that cluttered. You know, and just like filling up every, you know, every little tiny bit of it practically. But it's kind of supposed to be like that though too. I think it's a little bit more festive. It's a little bit more like Find Waldo-ish, you know. People can look at your piece and look around and see all these little tiny things going on. I might add in some other things like little spiders and stuff like that hanging down in there. I think that would be pretty fun. But a lot more shading to go in here, and maybe some white pigment ink, you know, for some atmosphere, which I can do now because I have these lighter elements like that. So, it affords me the ability to use the white, acrylic paint pen, where if I start adding little white dots or something like that, without those moonlight, in there, it would totally stand out. Unless it represented fireflies or something like that. But reflected light without having that lightness in there, it looks kind of strange. And it really stands out too much by contrast. So you put something like that in there. And it doesn't have to be glow-in-the-dark vinyl sticker paper, too. You can stamp it on a piece of, cardstock of any color. You can do colored cardstock to maybe have a light, super light green or something like that you want to do. Something like that might be kind of fun. But yeah, all kinds of little things like that. So I'm looking in here, too. I've kind of forgotten about things like the crushed tumbled glass too, little sparkly elements, and some of them are kind of dark where, if I laid some of that down, I don't know if I'm going to do that, but that would be like little options where, you put it at a little bit of an angle and it kind of captures, and reflects some of that lighting. That might be kind of fun. But I think definitely some of the other things after I get this highlighting done in here, some of these ghosts like that floating around in here might be kind of fun, for some extra glow in the dark touches in here. But yeah, anyways, monster maps. Doesn't have to be monsters or that theme, but I would suggest, working, if this is like way too big, just go full size 8.5 by 11 and just try it out. It looks weird too for me when I first start doing this, if I haven't done it for a while too. And it's in those textural editions. And if you use like at least one image, like in a pretty decent amount of the areas, and like I said, I used the boulders with lichen on this one, which I seem to go back with this one a lot in my larger pieces. So even like small little pieces of it, even if it's just that little bit of it from there up, that will kind of bring things together in terms of whatever visual continuity, even on areas which are kind of largely, or seemingly unrelated. You make a relationship just by adding in those common textures and forms in there. And it could be just one thing, You could do it with a bunch of different things. I could have more of these leaves down here, like little bushes coming out right in here, and all over the place. But there's, just add in your needles and thread. And it could be imagery, it could be shading, it could be highlights or any of that type of stuff. And they'll all kind of bring it together. I'm saying all this because I know that when I've done these before and I've just kind of laid it out, I thought, I don't know, it's not really, there. I want it to be real different, but I do want there to be some element of cohesion to it. So, if it doesn't look that way just after the initial main images that you laid out, even go back with the smallest one, like, mine, it's like the smallest one here, it's the tiny rocks, but they're just, they're near and far all over in there. So just anything like that will do the job usually. And then if you have more than one, potentially even better. The white highlights. Yeah, I'll add in those white highlights, but I think what I want to do in this piece is I want to add in the, I might like right in here, see these, some design choices. I think I'm going to add those glowing skulls potentially in here as well. And I want to add in some fog touches in here, but I usually do that after I add in the shadow work though, because I can't add in the shadow work with this pencil over the top of the brilliance white, or just the white pigment ink. You don't have to use brilliance in there, because if you add this over the top of that white pigment ink, it's going to dig it up, it's going to scrape it off before it has a chance to settle there. But yeah, look at this right in here. So see this fog, that we can add, like going through these trees, like in the back of this one, but in the front of these ones, and right down in here. Wolves in the Mist. Tombstones in the Mist too. Like, you can almost see what it's going to look like. This is a little bit of glare on this piece right here. But it's that little bit of like, if there was a little bit of that fog in there, it would look good. Let me see if I can get that glare going in there again. Anyway, so fun stuff. You know, if you haven't done, like I said, you know, larger pieces, I would suggest giving it a try and really just kind of like throwing away some of the, I don't know, what are the perspective principles and stuff like that. And it really makes it a lot of fun to watch develop. Do you think the scene you will do as a two-part series? I think so, Cynthia. Yeah. I'll do some shading. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it as a live, like this weekend or something like that. I'm not sure. It's whenever I get around to it again. But I also want to take a look at this too in some of these other areas. I think for the most, I think 95% of the stamping is done. Just because there's not going to be a lot more space unless I want to go crazy and like put little figures in between, things like that. Which we have now, you know, with some smaller little figurines. But yeah, I'm looking around in here, like right in here maybe. Oh, so I don't have, see, like right here, I can have something like walking up. I think that couple, that little silhouette couple right in here too. So it's stuff like that, you know, like this little couple walking up the walkway like this. You know, I like this whole idea of this kind of romantic ghoulish, you know, stroll. Let's have them right now. Or I have those other, like, you know, those lamp posts too, that I can put like a little glow-in-the-dark lamp post in there too. And we can have them like illuminating some of the tombstones. Something like this. If you accidentally don't stamp out, you don't put enough pressure around one of their heads or both of them in this genre, you're fine, you know. With a couple headless people walking around. But yeah, see, stuff like that, you know. The more stuff you add in there, the more Find Waldo it becomes. Not that we're going for anything that crazy, but I don't know, it's kind of fun because someone can look at these pieces and, you know, they could see something different, you know, than they saw the first time they, you know, looked at it. So, yeah. Yeah, probably a two-part series, Cynthia, I'm not sure. Yeah, see, that's what I enjoy about, like, Linda's monster maps. Well, Linda's been doing, like, some larger format stuff for a while, so not just Halloween-ish types of things, but you can look around on her pieces, on her larger pieces, and there's something going on, like in every corner, you know, of the piece. And it might be subject matter, but it also might be, you know, some sort of detailing or something like that, some sort of technique with coloring or something like that. That's really cool to find. Yeah, good night, MJC. All right, everyone. Thanks for checking out this large format. It was really fun to do. It came together a little bit faster than I thought, you know, when I remember. So I think it was just the usage of the that one stamp in there for so much of it. But we'll make all these little things. We'll make certain areas stand out a little bit more. So it's almost like we're doing the composition right here, and then we're going to do like the we call it the stage lighting. In the second part of it. I don't know. I think a lot of it will be done, you know, like shading these little things like that. I don't know. It takes like a minute or something like that. But again, I want to take a look at some of these other little areas that I hadn't really thought about. And if I want to put like other things in these little spots, I don't want to make it just vibrate with way too much stuff. But I don't know, I think I might want to add in a few more little subtle things with some imagery that I haven't used for a while, like little spiders or something like that too. Yeah. All right. Thanks for checking out the big scene. Linda, hope you have a great evening there. Oh, if anyone's still on here, next Friday I am going to be out camping myself, so I'll come back with the finishing this piece at some other time. I'm going to want to do it this weekend probably, but if anyone's on, hope to see you then. Hope to see you in the next live. Good night, everyone.